I can almost guarantee that you don't know your family members as well as you think you do. And if you're starting a family business, that will be a problem. And that's because most family businesses don't fail because of a bad idea, but they fail because of things like miscommunication, unclear roles, and personality clashes. That's why understanding each other's work languages is vital before you even get started. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a tool that me and my family use to help our business go from stagnant and arguments and unclear roles, miscommunications to a thriving 7-figure business. Okay, so let's get started. So what is this magic tool that helped my family business and that can also help yours? It is the DISC personality assessment. Now, what the DISC assessment is a behavioral tool that can help you identify communication styles, personal strengths, and how you interact with others. Okay. Now, before we took this, as I mentioned before at the top of this video, we used to argue, we clashed, and people were also in the wrong roles for their personality types. Okay. Now, many people who come from corporate settings are maybe familiar with this, and they might only think about the DISC assessment when it comes to their job. However, in a family business, this is completely vital because we are blending the two. We're blending family and business. And if you don't understand each other on a work level, then there will always be problems. You might think you know your brother, you might think you know your cousin, your sister, your mom, but in the context of work, if you don't understand each other's ticks, if you don't understand what motivates each other, if you don't understand just natural strengths, you will always be running in place and you will never be successful. Now, the word DISC is an acronym for the 4 main personality types that everybody falls into. Okay. Now, you might have traits from multiple in your personality, but for the most part, you lean heavily in one than the others. Okay. Now, D is for dominance, I is for influence, S is for steadiness, and C is for conscientiousness or cautious. Okay. So for the goal of this video, I'm going to assign each letter a job in a metaphorical flight crew. Okay, so think of the business as a plane and each one of these letters as a crew member on this plane. All right, so the D, the dominant one, this is the pilot of the plane. This is the person who needs to take the business from one place to the other. The plane or the pilot rather is a person who is very driven, very results driven. They see the goal and they need to hit the goal. Okay, so these are the people who are just natural leaders, problem solvers, people who need to be able to make decisions very quickly and on the fly. Okay, the influencer. Okay, so this can be the flight attendant on the plane, right? This is the people who need to help everybody else on the plane feel comfortable. They are the ones who are communicating what the pilot says to the rest of the people on the plane. These are the people who are very sociable. They're very persuasive. Okay, these are people who are vital on selling ideas, making people feel comfortable. All right. S. Okay, this is the grounds crew. Okay, these are people who are the supporters, who are the ones who support the pilot. They support everything that goes on before the plane can actually lift off. Now, a lot of people, when they hear that, they think of just like worker bees, but those people are vital in a business. Whether you want to agree or not, whether you want to understand that or not, these people are vital in the plane actually taking off. Okay, the pilot can't take off the plane unless the runway is clear, and the people on the ground do that. They make sure that the ground is clear. Okay. And C, this is, you can think about this person, the conscientious one, you can think about this person as the air traffic controller. Okay, they're the ones making sure, even though the plane is in the air, even though everybody on the plane is comfortable, they're the ones making sure the skies are clear. They're the ones making sure that the pilot is following rules and regulations to make sure that nothing happens to that plane. Okay, so think about those 4 positions. Now, really quick, if you want to take your own DISC assessment, I have a free version for you. All you have to do is hit the link below, download my family business playbook. You'll get access to your own self DISC assessment. also a free mini course that helps go into detail on each of the 4 letters of the 4 personality types and how each can work together. All you have to do is hit the link below. All right, let's get back to it. Now, as we understand these 4 jobs, okay, you're going to see why understanding this about yourself and about the people you are working with, your family, you're going to see why it is vital to helping you understand how to communicate with each other. When me and my father and my stepmother, when we first got into business, we didn't have any roles. Everybody just kind of did everything. Everybody was the leader. Everybody was the customer service. Everybody was the logistics. And once that happened, we got nothing done. Like, it felt like we were running in place for so long. But once we each took these disc assessments, we understood who we were. My dad was a pilot, a natural pilot. He was the one who had the ideas, who had the vision, who had the drive to take the business from one place to the other. However, his meter when it came to everything else was very, very low. Okay, his score for the pilot was so high, but everything else was very low. So he just only thought about his ideas and how to get them how to get them from one place to the other. Okay, I scored very high on the S and the C. So admittedly, I can be very stubborn and I can be very procedure driven. Okay, so that's why I scored very high on the C. I am very procedure driven. I like to figure out how things work before I attempt it. So that's why when me and my dad would clash, because he would have an idea and I would immediately kind of shut it down because I wanted to know, okay, how are we going to make this happen? Like, how are we going to find the money to get this going? How are we going to figure out how this works? How are we going to this? And we will always clash because we just didn't understand. He thought I was trying to shut his dreams down, or he thought I was just being a Debbie Downer when I just kind of needed to figure out how this worked before I got going. My stepmom, she scored very high on the I. She's very personable. Okay, so she was in a role that didn't utilize that strength. She is a natural people person. So why isn't she dealing with the people? Why isn't she dealing with customer service or dealing with potential advertisers? Okay, so once we put her in that role, she naturally flourished there because that's just where she naturally felt good. I was naturally good at figuring out how things worked and how we can get there. My dad had amazing ideas and he was the one to kind of take us there. So once we understood where our strengths lied, then we were able to go, okay, so when he has one of these crazy, bizarre ideas, that's just him trying to get the plane from one place to the other. Me coming in, I'm not shooting down his idea. He understood that I'm not shooting down his idea. I'm not being a Debbie Downer. I'm just figuring out, working through my own process, how we can make this idea work. And then my stepmom was the one to kind of keep everybody in line, to keep everybody focused on the overall mission. Now, each 4 of these personality types, they also have their strengths and their weaknesses. Okay, so the D, or the pilot rather, their strengths can be, as I said before, they're natural leaders, they're problem solvers, and they thrive under pressure. If you think about an actual pilot, they need to make sure a lot of things, they're paying attention to a lot of things to make sure the plane takes off correctly, the plane is flying correctly, and the plane lands correctly. Okay, some challenges though: they can be impatient, blunt, and struggle with collaboration. And when I looked at some of the issues that I had with my dad, it was the same thing. He was very impatient. He wanted his goals when he wanted them. He wanted things to happen when he wanted them, and he didn't want any one telling him different. Okay, now eyes, influencer, or the flight attendant. These people are great at networking, motivating people, and selling ideas. Some challenges are they can be disorganized, impulsive, and avoid conflict. One of the things that I noticed with my stepmom is that she didn't know how to prioritize a lot of things within the business, because my dad would tell her everything, we needed to do everything, make sure everything needed to get done. So she thought everything was a priority, and then nothing kind of got done. So we would have to kind of check each other to make sure, like, hey, this is the thing we need to get done. Dad, those three things can wait for a while until we get this going. And then she was able to focus and she was able to kind of get her job done. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, I scored really high in the grounds crew and the air traffic control, right? So for the grounds crew, strengths can be excellent at keeping things working smoothly, great listener, and supportive team player. Some challenges are can resist change, struggle to make tough decisions, and avoid confrontation. If anybody knows me, that is me. I sometimes change. I couldn't stand the word, right? I struggle to make change sometimes, and I like to have things in their boxes where they needed to be. But when it comes to business, sometimes things things move fast. You need to adapt, and if you're unable to do that, that causes a bottleneck. So I was a bottleneck in a lot of our business dealings because I struggled to adapt to change. I didn't like change. Okay. Another thing so now in the air traffic controller, strengths are excellent problem solving, research, and assuring quality. Okay, so those things kind of went into what our website looked like, what our merch looked like, and things like that. I was very big and very keen on making sure we put our best foot forward and we did things the right way. Okay, some challenges. Okay, can be a perfectionist. Now, being a perfectionist means you're slow, means you're struggling to make a decision, means you are kind of stuck, you overthink. Okay, and that's another challenge. You overthink your decisions and you struggle delegating. I struggled so much delegating starting out. I could not just give, because I always felt like I did it better, right? So it was tough for me to kind of give something out or to kind of hire a freelancer to do something because I always felt like I could do it better. Again, which held things up because we already had a workload and then I was already being slow. So it was a mess, right? It was a mess before we kind of understood who we were and were able to use our strengths to our advantage. And what I will say about these disc assessments is they're not perfect. They're not 100%. And you can change over time. So I've taken my disc assessment, I've taken it over a couple of times, and I've increased in certain places and decreased in certain places because you change and adapt. So my pilot score, my D score is a little higher now than it was before. It was very low before because I was scared to make decisions. Now, as an entrepreneur, as a seasoned entrepreneur, you got to make decisions. I'm a parent now as well. So I have to be able to make decisions on the fly. Sometimes I have to be firm in my conviction when it comes to certain things. And so that just comes with life. So you take these assessments and you figure out where your strengths and your weaknesses are, and then you work to improve those things. And then you can better serve yourself in life and in your family business as well. All right. So before we get out of here, I want to go over the 4 letters again and where they fit in the family business. So when you take your own disc assessment, link down below, you can make sure everybody is in the correct roles. Now, what I will say is, depending upon what the scores may look like, you might have the younger sibling who is high D. That doesn't make them the CEO of the business, but you can see how they fit within your own unique situation. Okay, so the D or the pilot in the family business, they need to focus on big picture strategy and execution. They're great at leading, but they may need to work on team dynamics when it comes to listening to others. All right. Okay. So this is the flight attendant, right? So they excel at marketing, sales, customer relations. However, they need to make sure that they stay on task, okay, and not get distracted by a bunch of the new ideas that may come in a family business. A lot of times we get stuck because we're trying to do too many things at once when we need to just kind of focus in on one thing, okay? Okay, this is the grounds crew or the supporter of the group, okay? These are the people who are the glue and keeping everything together, right? Customer service, HR, operations, all of that stuff. They help maintain the family harmony and the family structure, right? But they need to make sure they are speaking up when they have an idea and being able to just kind of adapt to change, right? I can tell you it's not easy. If you are high S, you need to be able to adapt to change, okay? And the air traffic controller, okay, the C, okay? These are the people who thrive in finance, legal, quality control, making sure the business is structured properly. However, they need to make sure they are balancing their analysis to action. Make sure they don't suffer from analysis paralysis, and make sure they are able to trust more and delegate to others. So, as I mentioned before, if you want to take your own DISC assessment to see where you and your family's roles naturally align, I have a free link to one down below. It comes with my family business playbook, and it also comes with a free mini course that goes way more into detail of the DISC assessment and how it can help you and your family business not only survive, but thrive, right? So my name is Malcolm X Bowser, and I will see you on the next one. All right, peace.